Good morning, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday, May 6th, day 47. 47 days we've been coming together, talking about thinking about thinking, understanding fear, understanding where fear comes from, how to work with fear, and how to move through fear, finding the joy out of suffering. Today is day 5 of Definiteness of Purpose. And one of the key things about definiteness of purpose is, and I think about 5-6 years ago, I would wake up every day and I would have this massive list with check boxes. And I would force myself to do everything on that list every morning, every evening. And I was living in somewhat of a robot state. But the interesting thing is that created habits within me. And one of the things that it really ingrained in me is the power of gratitude, the power of having something to do. I don't believe in creating, I'm going to accomplish these 10 things today. The reality is life happens and it might not always work out. But if you can accomplish one thing a day, one thing, and even if that one thing is just self-care and staying in bed, that's not a bad thing either. So the key with definiteness of purpose, it really follows that there's a few things that need to happen in order to be able to feel the flow, feel the positivity, and feel the grace that is this existence we call human. And number one, thinking for yourself. Do your own thinking on all occasions. It's so easy to get caught in a trap, in a spiral, in a downward spiral of accepting what other people's thoughts are. But at the end of the day, other people's thoughts are exactly that, other people's thoughts. And then to move from there and really decide what you want. And every day that could be different. But decide what you want, not what other people want for you. From there, one of the things we learn is to analyze temporary defeat. So the relationship ended. So you lost your job. So someone you loved died. Those are facts of life. That's the price of admission for even showing up and being human. Analyze, accept that those things are going to happen, accept that it happened to you, and learn from them. When that relationship ended, what did you learn? Be willing, the next one, be willing to provide service. We live in this dynamic equilibrium that whatever you put out is what you're going to receive. It could be as simple as holding a door for someone. It could be as simple as smiling. And I know we're living in these weird times. Calvin and I were at the dollar store last night and there's someone ahead of us wearing a mask. And clearly that person knew who we were, but I had no idea who that person was with their mask on. And I really hope that people wearing masks is not the new norm. Who knows? I'm not buying into the fearness of it all. And there's science, and then there's rhetoric, and then there's the media. So it's difficult to smile at someone when you're wearing a mask, but there's other ways. The other thing you need to understand about definiteness of purpose is understand that your mind is a beacon. If you understand the chakras, the reality is energy comes to us and through us, and it flows through us when our chakras are all in alignment. But if there's a block, anything that comes to us is either going to be rejected, or if whatever comes to us is in alignment with the block, it's going to be accepted. So if we have a block in our root chakra, which is safety and stability and security, If we get messages into us that justify those blocks within us, that we're not going to be safe, that we're not going to be secure, that we're not going to be stable, we internalize those. So whatever comes to us, again, going back to listen but be skeptical, is very important, that before we accept it as true, we need to analyze it. The other thing that is important in definiteness of purpose is that time is your greatest asset. We all have 168 hours a week. How we spend those 168 hours is going to determine how our mind treats us. If we are constantly filling those hours with messages of fear and hate and uncertainty, then that's the world we're going to be living in. I personally now choose to fill my time with love and joy and peace, and I surround myself with those people who are resonating those messages, and I can't help but feel excited. You have to also recognize that truth is a fear filter. Truth and fear cannot exist in the same space. It's not possible. Fear really doesn't like the truth. The truth is sometimes really difficult to understand and difficult to pay attention to, but understanding the truth really is the key to unlocking a lot of the mysteries of life. When the next aspect of definiteness of purpose, praying. Maya Angelou once told Oprah, the only prayer you ever need is thank you. Thank you for what you have given. And if you think about the Our Father, the Lord's Prayer in the Bible, nothing in there is asking or begging of a God or nature or the universe of anything. We have very little control over what happens around us. All we can control is our gratitude level to be able to say, thank you for this. Whether this is good, whether this is bad, or whether this is ugly. That's all we can control, is thank you. And it's amazing, once you stop asking for things, you start getting things. Think about if you have children. The more your kids ask you for stuff, the less you actually want to give them. And the last thing that I want to remember, or that I want you to remember or understand about definiteness of purpose, is this truth. Life is a cruel taskmaster at times. It is either going to master you or you master it. There's no halfway. There's no compromise. It's up to you. Life is going to challenge you at every single opportunity. And when you accept that, life stops challenging you. Whatever you need to learn from this life, it will give it to you. But it's not going to give it to you in sunshine and rainbows and roses. It's going to give it to you in broken hearts and tears and pain and suffering. That's the reality of life. Every single mystic, every single prophet through time has said the exact same thing. Life is cruel. And it's how you handle it is what happens going forward. So I know today's messages may not have been the most uplifting, but they're the most true. We learn from the darkness. We learn from the suffering. And once we learn from it, we have the ability to shine a light for others to see in the darkness. If we don't learn from the darkness, we either stay in it or we get sent right back into it until we learn the lesson. So until tomorrow, please remember, whatever you think about is what is attracted to you. It's the law of the universe. It's the law of nature. Everything has its opposite. Everything is in flow. Everything is spiritual. Everything is everything. I love you truly. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until tomorrow, be kind to yourself and to everybody else.